first lap. A tremendously close packed first lap, with Stewart not getting away as much as it looked as if he might by the end. We're on the 11th lap now. We've got 70 laps and a bit to go. Through the tobacconist, Jackie Stewart in the lead. Through the hairpin. Stewart's young wife, Helen, one of the loveliest girls in motor racing, is in the pit doing his timing in his lap chart. She's the professional racing driver's wife in most cases, is a vital part of the team. Here come the next match after Stewart. Eamon, Brabham, Beltoise, Eek, Hull, Pescarolo, Ritz.
Up Saint-Deveau, towards the casino, on the first stage of drama, X sticks his hand in the air. The smoke tells the story. He soon has to pull into the side of the track with a split fuel tank. With the Ferrari out of the way, the battle was now relay enjoined between Jack Brabham and Chris Eamon, with the old Australian doing everything he could to get past the young New Zealander.
Brabham raising his arm there, asking for a blue flag. That raising of the arm in that situation usually means that he thinks the marshals should show Eamon a blue flag to let him through. It looks to me, though, on the circuit, as though on the power parts of the circuit, Eamon can draw out of it. Brabham closes on him on the curly bit and thinks that Eamon should be given a blue flag and should let him by. Eamon doesn't think so, and I think he's unlikely to be put off by seeing this gesture in the mirror behind him. I don't think Eamon is about to give anything away to Brabham. We're on the 17th lap now. Stewart leading by quite a little bit from Eamon, Brabham and Beltoise, who are all very close together. And behind them there's Hulme, Pescarolo, Ritz and Courage's 8. Stewart there, through the chicane. And Stewart now rounding the hairpin. As they come down to the hairpin, Eamon has a few yards. Brabham closes right up and makes a go to go inside, and he's got inside, but he didn't make it. Eamon shut the door, and Brabham jolly nearly lost third place to Beltoise through that manoeuvre. Here they go, they're still in the same order, but Brabham is much further behind. So that manoeuvre didn't help Jack Brabham. Eamon firmly shut the door on that inside manoeuvre of Brabham. And Beltoise almost took third. Jackie's done 1:25 now. Jackie Stewart has done 1 minute 25 seconds, which is yet another new lap record. Lap, Jack Brabham is leading, and there's Jackie Stewart's car in the pit. It went thick on the 27th lap, but he didn't stop. He came round again behind Brabham. The engine sounded terribly rough, so the world champion, championship leader, and the man who dominated practice and the first 6 laps of this race is in the pit, having a drink. They're attending to the engine, and the order now is Brabham first, Eamon second, Hulme third, Pescarolo fourth, because Beltoise also came into the pits and retired with gearbox trouble. Seifert, in the second of the works marchers, is fifth, and Courage for De Tomaso is sixth. We've lost McLaren, who I think must have hit the curb somewhere, because he came in for a puncture, changed the wheel, and then came in again on the next lap with damaged steering, and we haven't seen him since. So that's McLaren. very disappointed Jean-Pierre Beltoise there on the right of the picture. His car broke its gearbox. Stewart's car still with the mechanics attending to it, and that's Beltoise Matra with attempt to rebuild the gearbox. 40 laps, halfway, 40 laps. The order, Jack Brabham in the lead. Chris Amon only a couple of seconds behind him in second place. Hulme in third place, being caught by Rindt. Rindt in the Lotus, getting very close to Hulme's McLaren. Rindt fourth then. Fifth is Pescarolo. Sixth is Seifert. Seventh is Oliver in the BRM. And eighth is Graham Hill, going very well after starting in an unfamiliar car from the back of the grid. Ninth is young Peterson in the Colin Crabb or Antique Automobiles entered McLaren. 10th is Rodriguez and 11th is Stewart, who led the race for the first 26 laps. And there's still only 1.3 seconds between Brabham and Amon. After 40 laps, nearly 80 miles of racing, there's still only 1.3 seconds between these two men. Jack Brabham, the 44-year-old Australian in his own Brabham Ford, and Chris Amon, the 26-year-old New Zealander in the Works March. And Jochen Rindt in the Lotus has taken third place from Dennis Hulme. It looks like happening, and it has. Rindt in the Lotus is third ahead of Hulme's McLaren. And Graham Hill has passed Jackie Oliver up into seventh place. There's another change of place further down. There's Jochen Rindt, who's now in third place. Jochen Rindt with last year's Lotus, modified at the front end with smaller wheels. A little bit of a disappointment. They haven't been able to get the latest Lotus 72 competitive yet. And Jochen Rindt, who didn't fare terribly well in practice. He was back on the fourth row in practice, but he's now got up to third place. A great drive for the young Austrian. Brabham still leading, number 5, Jack Brabham still in front. Amon second, Rindt third, Hulme fourth, Pescarolo fifth, Seifert sixth, Graham Hill seventh. And Oliver's in trouble with the BRM. Jack Brabham there, number 5, barring mechanical trouble, he's got this race in his pocket. There he comes, out of the Casino Square, over the bump, down the hill to Mirabeau, right at Mirabeau, and there's Rindt coming up the hill into the Casino Square. So he's got all that distance, the length of time. That's Rindt, and Rindt very sideways there out of the Casino Square. And he's got all that deficit behind Brabham. Pescarolo has now overtaken Seifert. And behind Seifert, who's fourth, is Hulme fifth, Hill sixth, young Peterson in his first Grand Prix is seventh, a great achievement, and Rodriguez is eighth. 10 laps to go. 10 laps to go for Jack Brabham in the lead with the Brabham VT33. And it's only 11.5 seconds now. Rindt is catching him. There's a slow replay of Brabham's line. Close inside, then wide outside at the exit. Very steady. No sliding, no wrestling with the wheel. Very smooth, saving the car and himself for still another 10 laps of this very hard race. And it's only 11.5 seconds now, the gap between him and Rindt. So Rindt is making time. Pescarolo going superbly in third place for France with the Matra. Hulme, the New Zealander in the McLaren, is fourth. A rather thick march of Seifert is fifth. And Graham Hill, who started right at the back in a borrowed car, repainted overnight into the Rob Walker colours, is sixth. Ronnie Peterson 7th at his first Grand Prix, and Rodriguez from Mexico is 8th, after not a very happy race. Brabham at the hairpin for the 71st time. Brabham had a pretty good practice, not much in the way of drama. They had some engine trouble at the early stages and some braking problems on the Saturday. The car's superb now, and that's Rindt in slow motion at the hairpin. Much more twirling of the wheel, more tail-out stuff. Quite suddenly in the last few laps, and rather unexpectedly, Rindt has begun to close up. And it's now down to about 4.5 seconds. Quite suddenly in the last couple of laps, Jochen Rindt making a tremendous... Look at the crowd going absolutely mad, cheering on the second man. The crowd would love a dramatic finish, and so would we. And quite suddenly, a few laps ago, only a couple of laps ago, he was, 10 seconds and more, and it looked as though it was all over. Look at him sliding there. Look at Rindt coming down over those humps. All sideways and really pressing. Into the tunnel in the last 2 laps. Look at them there. You can see them. They're not very far apart. Meanwhile, Seifert further back has lost another place. Rodriguez is now 6th and Seifert is 7th. Graham Hill is still 5th. And look at Rindt there. Everybody in the crowd all the way around the circuit is going mad. He's right on his tail. Right on his tail there at the hairpin. They're coming to start the last lap. Up past the pit, across the finishing line to start the last lap. 1.5 seconds. Can he make up 1.5 seconds in this last fantastic lap? Is it possible? If anybody can hold him off, it's Brabham. Tremendous finish this. We haven't seen a finish like this at Monte Carlo for years. Generally speaking, we've only got perhaps a few cars left and some of them are sick. But this is really Grand Prix racing at its greatest. Tremendous finish. Pescarolo 3rd, Hahn 4th, Hill 5th, Rodriguez 6th, Seifert 7th and Peterson 8th. And on the last lap, it's anybody's win. Now then, they're going on to the fastest part. This is the straight. Up into 4th, 5th gear, into the tunnel, out of the tunnel. It looks as though Brabham's got it. He's still got about a second. Joe Seifert has pulled up before the tobacconist. He's in real trouble right at the end. That's bad luck. And Rindt catching right up on him at the tobacconist. He's right up on him. 7/10 of a second at the back of the pits. Into the hairpin, there they go, and there's a slow car there, and Brabham's gone straight on. Brabham's run out of road. Brabham's run out of road, and Rindt has it. Brabham goes straight on at the hairpin, and Rindt wins the race. Jochen Rindt for Lotus wins the Monaco Grand Prix. There's a replay. Brabham is coming slowly over in second place. Brabham has managed to finish second. Now look at this. Look at this. Look. Brabham slides, understeers, wheels locked, straight on into the wall. And look at his face. You can even see through the mask. You can imagine the expression on his face. And there Rindt goes through victoriously and triumphantly.
To the victor the spoils. And as Jochen Rindt received the trophy from Prince Rainier, the final placings for the 1970 Monaco Grand Prix were confirmed as second, the gallant Jack Brabham. Third, Henri Pescarolo. Fourth, Denny Hulme. Fifth, the incredible Graham Hill. And sixth, Pedro Rodriguez. So the Monaco Grand Prix in those last desperate few yards. Jochen Rindt.
Jochen, what about that fantastic last corner victory? Tell us about it.
Well, I was catching Czech slightly, and something must have gone wrong in the last 5 laps for him, because he wasn't quite as quick, and I was catching him more and more and more. And then it was 2 seconds, and it was 1 second, and I was actually following him into the last lap, and he just overcooked the last braking for the last corner. And he went straight, and I went around the corner, and I won it. I can't believe it myself.
In fact, he'd had a brake problem all through the race, and it got worse, and that's what caused it.
Yes, possible, something like that. I had a brake problem in the beginning of the race. This is why I was so slow at the beginning.
After practice, which wasn't terribly great for you, you must have been very, very thrilled to pull this one off. Your second Grand Prix and your first Monaco.
Well, the car worked much better than in practice. We changed a lot between practice and the race day, and everything worked perfect except the brakes in the beginning. And I had to overcook them, let them cool down, go slow for a few laps, and then, try to catch them up, and it worked out very well.
All that while the race was going on. And did you know, therefore, that you're now equal third in the championship with Dennis Hulme, behind Brabham, who leads, and Stewart, who's second? What about that now at this stage? Third place.
Well, it's good news for me, especially when the new 72 Lotus comes out, which is supposed to be a lot quicker, and we should have a better chance then.
And one more piece of good news. Did you know that you put up the fastest ever lap round here, right at the end of the race, and 1:23.2, 84 miles an hour?
Yeah, that shows you how quick you can go if you have to. We're all laying about before.
Monaco Grand Prix has not only lived up to its punishing reputation, but surpassed itself in that fictional last gasp, last corner melodrama. Poor Jack Brabham explained ruefully after the race that he'd had to apply his brakes slightly harder than he intended to avoid a back marker, and as we saw, they locked up and Jack was helpless. Never in all his 23 years of motor racing, including his dirt track days in Sydney, can Jack Brabham have known such last-minute heartache. Still, he has the consolation tonight of leading the World Championship table. He has 15 points to Jackie Stewart's 13. Then we have Denny Hulme and Jochen Rindt with 9 apiece, and Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren with 6 apiece. Mario Andretti, who didn't race today, has 4, Pescarolo has 4, Beltoise 3, Cerro Gavan 2, John Miles 2, and Pedro Rodriguez scored BRM's sole point of the season today. But at the end of this spectacular, sensational day, the last word should surely belong to the man who won them up.